Hello, everybody. Welcome to my presentation of my annotated bibliography. My name is Castle, and my annotated bibliography is going to be three different artists and how their work has influenced my work and my understanding of photography. To be more specific, landscape photography with my final presentation of Iceland. The three artists are Enzo Adams, where he taught me some technical aspect like aspect ratios, exposing, and contrast. Wes Anderson, where he taught me composition, framing, and the use of color. And Hiroshi Sugimoto, where he taught me where should I seek meaning in my photography. Okay, the first artist I want to talk about is Ansel Adams, and as everybody who is well known, he is a famous American photographer in the 20th century. He is famous for his black and white natural landscape photography on American landscapes. And Ansel Adams is very famous for use of contrast in most of his pictures, where he brings out the drama and depth of the landscape that he is trying to capture. He also, he believes contrast is not only a technical choice, but also a expression of emotion and intensity in the American wilderness. He has co-created a system called Zone System, where he can control the exposure and the development time. And so this gives me a very specific and precise control over each detail, each grayscale of the picture, and in order to create a perfect final product. As you can see, this one today of the Great Tetons and the Snake River is a very good example of a zone system where he has rich blacks and also pure whites to has a huge dynamic range on his work. And here are some other examples of his work. So I think the main takeaway from him is that he taught me how to meter, how to measure the lighting, how to composite, and the use of contrast in all the natural landscape is very informative in conveying the emotion that he is trying to make. And I think I'm using this very drastically, not drastically, I'm using this somehow in my own work where um, sometimes contrast and composition weighs more than the image, than the subject or whatever the framing is. For example, in this picture, the contrast of the distant hills with the black rocks and the white snow has created this gloomy emotion that the mountain is crushing down onto the village down here. So I think this is a very mm, good application of this theory into my own work. And the next artist I want to talk about is Wes Anderson. He has been my favorite director for a long time. I love his use of color in all his film and the way he frames the characters up and frames the set. I think it's a revelation for me when I'm watching films and doing my own creative work. Uh, his use of colors is always intrigued me. The use of this all saturated but muted color that can create this visual and convey the emotions of the film to the audiences. Color in Wes Anderson's film is not only not is not simply decorative. It serves a narrative device, guiding the viewer's emotion and response and highlighting them to contrasts. This is by Matt. This is a quotation by Matt Zoller. The saturation of the colors is where I'm looking for when I'm editing, but also I try to keep the flowiness of the grass here. So I try to keep the most contrast and the most important colors to be rich and obvious in this picture to see how wind is howling in the from right howling from right of the frame to left of the frame. And this is exactly what I am feeling when I'm taking this picture. So the use of color is it's helping me a great deal when expressing these feelings. And so this picture in the bottom here, where you can see snowflakes throwing down at a tremendous speed and at an angle, so, which is indicated a heavy snow storm with very, very strong wind. So these use of details of colors and conveying to the whole backdrop of the picture is what brought life to these works and also to Wes Anderson's movies. And the other thing Wes Anderson has been very helpful for me is his use of framing. He, as a person, is very obsessed with central framing, or it is also called one-point perspective, where placing the subject or character at the center of the frame all the time. This also directs your attention to a single object on the frame and then let your peripheral image to do the rest of the talking. So you're looking at raw things here and then you notice the flower, you notice the decorations in the back and zero in the background. All these details in the background matters, but the director wants you to focus on the subject first before your peripheral image, your peripheral vision unpacks the background. I use this technique unconsciously in some of my work. The subject is right in the middle, but also then after you focusing on the subject for a while, you start to look at the little details, the reflection of the water, the mountains, the small house, the cars, and the people in the background. And this is a very good way for me to, at least in my practice, we're composing the subject in the middle and then to add those details. For example, wait for a car to come by on the road and wait for everything else to happen in this image before I take the image. And so it is safe to say that Wes Anderson has taught me color and framing, where Ansel Adams has taught me contrast and composition. And these are all technical aspects of what I'm creating in my own work. And Hiroshi Sugimoto is the person who gives me meaning who helped me find my meaning when it comes to f taking photography. This here is one of his famous work. It's a book called Theaters, where he takes a single exposure of a theater's movie's entire time. For example, if a movie is playing this theater, he would set up a camera in the right time and place and start exposing when the movie starts and end exposing when the movie ends. So it could take from minutes up to hours of exposure to complete one image. And it is trying to talk about how we perceive time and how time is an important factor in photography. This other body of work of the sea is also very influential to me because these are hours and days of exposure of just the sea, of one single image, and his obsession with perfect detail in his image is what is why I respect Hiroshi's very much. He would sat there for hours and hours on end just to wait for this single image to unpack. And it is perfect, simplistic, minimalism, but also when looking at this image, it brings me to think about what the time as a factor is in photography and how is that important to my own work. And so after seeing one of his creations, this body of work, diorama, is where he went into museums and photographed stuffed animals in front of a beautiful background. But in a way, he's making these animals and the backgrounds to look realistic, beautiful in a way. He's saying that I found a way to see the world as the camera does. However fake the subject once photographed, it is as good as real. So he's trying to make all these fake plants, animals to look as realistic and as lively as they are in the real world. And I think he did an incredible job at it. He at first looking at this image, I've never think these are fake. The editing he used and the composition he used is very good. I remember hearing a talk where he says at first when he's looking at these stuffed animals in front of the beautiful backgrounds, it looks so fake. But when he took the perspective out of it, when he used only one eye and squint at these installations or dioramas, he thinks that they are incredibly realistic. And then this is where this body of work comes from, which brings to my understanding and meaning of my take in Iceland. For in the beginning, I wanted to take for my 4x5 class. My own take of Iceland is that I want to take color film and black and white film as opposed to each other. I want to take color film to be I want to take black and white film to be these correctly exposed, beautifully shot natural landscape of those spots of Iceland where everybody knows and everybody wants to go. And these perfect landscape photos opposed to what I'm going to shoot on color film, which is going to be the Iceland I'm seeing, the details, the places of Iceland where nobody else has photoed, and it is special and unique to my own. Unfortunately, my film box got open on the way back, and most of the film got ruined, but some did survive. And this is two of the few films that did survive. But this unfortunate has turns out to be a very happy accident or a very happy sad thing because I think the light leaks and all the wrongly exposed and the you can see where there's another layer of film on top of this is just beautiful. The light leaks, and I don't even know why these are here, but this is all beautiful and all what makes all these more individual to me. These are the Iceland that I got to experience. These are the Iceland from my point of view and from my trip. And these are the physical copies that can never be taken away from me because nobody else in this world has any other images just like these, and nobody else will ever have images just like me, just like these, because I think everybody goes to a place and see things in their own light, and things can happen to them. For example, your film box could be open to create ruined films and also other beautiful mistakes. So I think this is what I'm thinking when I'm taking this whole trip and what I'm thinking in trying to complete my own final, where pictures are the even the more grandeur landscape pictures of Iceland could also be very, very specific and very, very personal to me. It is my trip with my friends and my own time. So I think these are the artists that brought me to thinking of this and brought this life to me. With Ansel Adams' contrast, Wes Anderson's colors, and Hiroshi's understanding of the meaning and time and what it means to be an artwork for yourself. Thank you.